Have you ever stopped to consider what really happens when the 29-year-old son of a billionaire CEO violently attacks a 71-year-old Vietnam veteran in a restaurant parking lot, then marches into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom flanked by 8 high-priced corporate attorneys, forming an overwhelming wall of legal intimidation? This privileged man is about to discover that armies of lawyers can sometimes work against you, that certain corporate funds are absolutely illegal to use this way, and that a handful of phone calls to the SEC can wipe out 40% of your father's stock value in a single afternoon. But what makes this case truly devastating isn't only the assault on a veteran or the absurdly excessive legal team. It's the explosive chain reaction that followed when Judge Caprio placed one phone call to the Securities and Exchange Commission, sparking a federal investigation, sending Helios Corp stock into free fall, erasing billions in shareholder value, and forcing the billionaire CEO father to resign in public disgrace. It's a Thursday morning inside Providence Municipal Court, and the gallery hums with anticipation. Word has spread that something unprecedented is about to unfold. Julian Thorne, 29, son of Helios Corp billionaire CEO Alastair Thorne, stands charged with assault and battery on an elderly person following an incident at the Capitol Grill 5 nights earlier. The victim is 71-year-old Arthur Walsh, a decorated Vietnam veteran who was celebrating his 45th wedding anniversary with his wife when Julian, drunk, aggressive, and entitled, became embroiled in a heated argument with a valet over parking priority. When Arthur calmly suggested that Julian settle down, Julian shoved him violently into a parked car, sending him crashing backward and leaving him with a broken collarbone and extensive bruising. Yet what makes this morning extraordinary isn't just the charges themselves. It's what is about to enter through those courtroom doors. The doors swing open, and Julian Thorne walks in, but he doesn't walk in alone. Behind him, completely filling the aisle, are 8 attorneys. Not 1. Not 2. 8. They're dressed in expensive tailored suits, carrying briefcases, exchanging documents, and whispered instructions like a corporate legal strike force. Leading them is Preston Holloway of Holloway & Gold, one of New York's most elite corporate law firms. He walks directly behind Julian, followed by 7 more attorneys who spread out and occupy an entire row of benches. Every one of them wears a dark suit. Everyone carries an identical leather portfolio embossed in gold with the Helios Corp logo. The sight is staggering. It looks less like a criminal courtroom and more like a corporate boardroom takeover. Several people in the gallery audibly gasp. Judge Caprio watches the procession carefully. His seasoned eyes instantly recognize the tactic for what it is: pure legal intimidation. The message couldn't be clearer: unlimited money, unlimited resources, unlimited pressure. Julian himself is dressed in a sleek charcoal suit, a luxury watch on his wrist, hair perfectly styled. He walks with the relaxed arrogance of someone who has never faced consequences in his life. He doesn't appear worried. He appears annoyed. The bailiff calls the case. State of Rhode Island versus Julian Alastair Thorne. Charges: assault and battery on an elderly person. Judge Caprio reviews the file with deliberate care, then slowly looks up at the sea of attorneys now occupying a large portion of his courtroom. Mr. Thorne, Caprio says calmly, before we proceed, I need one thing clarified. Exactly how many attorneys are representing you today? Preston Holloway rises smoothly. Your Honor, I'm Preston Holloway, lead counsel. With me are 7 associate attorneys from Holloway & Gold, as well as specialists covering various legal aspects relevant to this case. Judge Caprio raises an eyebrow slightly. 8 attorneys. For a straightforward assault and battery case. Yes, Your Honor, Holloway replies evenly. Mr. Thorne's family has substantial interests to protect. We believe in comprehensive representation. I see, Caprio says. And who is paying for this comprehensive representation? Holloway doesn't hesitate. Helios Corp, Your Honor. Mr. Thorne's father, Alastair Thorne, is the CEO and majority shareholder. The company maintains a legal defense fund for executive family members. Judge Caprio's expression goes completely still. Helios Corp is a publicly traded company, correct? Yes, Your Honor. Listed on the New York Stock Exchange under ticker symbol AUS. And this publicly traded corporation is funding 8 corporate attorneys to defend the CEO's son in a criminal assault case? Holloway shifts slightly. It falls within the company's legal framework to provide such support, Your Honor. Judge Caprio makes a careful note but lets it rest for now. Mr. Thorne, how do you plead? Julian barely looks up. Not guilty. Mr. Holloway, Caprio says, I assume you wish to address the court. Holloway stands, launching into what can only be described as a masterclass in corporate legal intimidation. Your Honor, we move to dismiss all charges due to insufficient evidence, improper police procedure, and violations of my client's rights during arrest. Judge Caprio raises his hand sharply. Mr. Holloway, he says firmly, we haven't even reviewed the evidence yet. You're filing motions to dismiss based on procedures you haven't even reviewed. Another attorney jumps to his feet. Your Honor, I'm Simon Vance, a specialist in criminal procedure. I've examined the arrest records and identified 17 procedural irregularities. Judge Caprio cuts him off immediately, sharper this time. Mr. Vance, sit down. Mr. Holloway, control your team. This is not a corporate boardroom. This is a courtroom. One attorney speaks at a time. A third lawyer half rises. Your Honor, if I may address the procedural. No, you may not. Sit down. Judge Caprio turns directly to the prosecutor. Please present the evidence. Assistant District Attorney Sarah Jenkins stands. Your Honor, 5 nights ago, at approximately 9:30 p.m., Mr. Thorne was at the Capitol Grill in downtown Providence. Security footage shows him arriving in his Lamborghini already visibly intoxicated. He became aggressive with the valet over parking priority. Immediately, 2 of Julian's attorneys stand at the same time. Objection, Your Honor. Judge Caprio's voice slices through the room. Sit down. Both of you. Ms. Jenkins has the floor. The attorneys sit, but the tactic is obvious. They intend to object to everything, to create confusion and delay. Ms. Jenkins continues. Mr. Arthur Walsh, a 71-year-old Vietnam veteran, was exiting the restaurant with his wife after their anniversary dinner. He observed Mr. Thorne's aggressive behavior and politely suggested that he calm down. Mr. Thorne responded by violently shoving Mr. Walsh into a vehicle, causing him to fall and suffer a broken collarbone. Another attorney leaps up. Your Honor, we dispute that characterization of the sit down. Caprio snaps. Ms. Jenkins, continue. Your Honor, we have clear security footage, multiple eyewitnesses, and Mr. Walsh's medical records. The evidence is overwhelming. Judge Caprio signals the clerk. Let's see the security footage immediately. 3 attorneys rise at once. Your Honor, we object to the chain of custody. Sit down. All of you, Caprio warns. Interrupt again and I will hold every single one of you in contempt. The courtroom tightens with tension. The 8 attorneys are executing a strategy of non-stop disruption. The video plays. Arthur Walsh is shoved backward into a parked car and collapses to the pavement. The footage is unmistakable. There is no confusion. No alternate angle. When it ends, Judge Caprio turns slowly to Julian and Mr. Thorne. That video shows you violently assaulting an elderly man. What do you have to say for yourself? Julian shrugs casually. He got in my face. I defended myself. Judge Caprio's jaw hardens. Mr. Thorne, the video shows Mr. Walsh standing several feet away, his hands visible. You attacked him without provocation. Preston Holloway stands instantly, and this time 4 other attorneys rise with him, forming a wall of suits. Your Honor, we have expert witnesses prepared to testify that the camera angle is misleading and that Mr. Walsh was actually the aggressor. Judge Caprio stands, his voice booming through the courtroom. Enough. All of you sit down. Now. Judge Caprio calls Arthur Walsh to the stand. The elderly veteran rises slowly, his arm supported by a sling. Your Honor, Walsh says, my wife and I were celebrating our 45th anniversary. I walked over and said, Sir, please calm down. He looked at me and said, mind your own business, old man. Then he shoved me. Judge Caprio asks gently, Mr. Walsh, how has this injury affected your life? Your Honor, I'm 71 years old. This broken collarbone means I can't work on cars anymore. That was my retirement hobby. I can't even lift my grandson. Julian visibly yawns during the testimony. Judge Caprio's eyes ignite. Mr. Thorne, did you just yawn while Mr. Walsh was describing his injuries? Julian shrugs again. I mean, it's unfortunate, but accidents happen. My dad will write him a check. Problem solved. The gallery explodes in outrage. Judge Caprio pounds for order. Mr. Thorne, Caprio says coldly, this was not an accident. You deliberately assaulted him. Preston Holloway jumps up again, and now all 8 attorneys rise together. Your Honor, my client is offering to make Mr. Walsh whole financially. Helios Corp is prepared to offer a substantial settlement. Judge Caprio's face becomes perfectly still, controlled fury beneath the surface. "Mr. Holloway," he says slowly, "are you attempting to buy your way out of criminal charges in my courtroom?" Judge Caprio surveys the courtroom slowly, first looking at the 8 attorneys, then Julian, and finally locking eyes with Preston Holloway. "Mr. Holloway," Caprio begins, his tone deliberate, "you stated on the record that Helios Corporation, a publicly traded company, is paying for all 8 of these attorneys to defend Mr. Thorne in a criminal case. Is that correct?" "Yes, Your Honor," Holloway replies, his voice steady but slightly uneasy. "It is within the company's legal rights. Helios Corporation is traded on the New York Stock Exchange, yes?" Caprio continues, "Yes, Your Honor. Meaning it has thousands of shareholders who own pieces of that company. And their money, their investments, are being used to pay 8 corporate attorneys to defend the CEO's son for drunkenly assaulting a 71-year-old Vietnam veteran over a parking dispute?" Holloway shifts uncomfortably in his suit. Judge Caprio picks up his phone. "Clerk, connect me to the Securities and Exchange Commission, Enforcement Division, immediately." Julian sits up straight for the first time, a flicker of panic crossing his face. "Wait, what?" Within minutes, the courtroom speakerphone activates. "This is Director Elena Ross, SEC Enforcement Division," a sharp voice announces. "Director Ross," Caprio says calmly, "I have a situation that may require your attention." On the record, the lead attorney stated that Helios Corporation, a publicly traded company, is paying for 8 attorneys as part of a legal defense fund for executive family members. Director Ross' voice hardens. "Your Honor, let me confirm, a publicly traded company is using shareholder funds to pay for the CEO's son's criminal defense in a personal assault case? That is potentially securities fraud, misuse of corporate assets for personal benefit." Julian pales, and the attorneys around him look visibly shaken. "Your Honor," Ross continues, "I am opening an immediate investigation into Helios Corporation's use of corporate funds. Shareholders will be notified through official channels that their investments may have been misused. When the market opens tomorrow, Helios Corporation's stock will face significant pressure." The call ends. The courtroom is silent. Caprio turns to the defense attorneys. "Gentlemen, I assume Helios Corporation will no longer be funding your representation of Mr. Thorne?" Preston Holloway stands, his confidence shattered. "Your Honor, we need to consult with our client." Caprio fixes Julian with a steady gaze. "Mr. Thorne, you assaulted a 71-year-old Vietnam veteran. You showed no remorse. You yawned during his testimony. And your father's company used shareholder money to fund a legal army to intimidate this court. Here is your sentence: assault and battery on an elderly person, 6 months in county jail, 3 years probation, 400 hours of community service at veteran organizations, mandatory anger management, and full restitution to Mr. Walsh for all medical expenses and rehabilitation. You are also ordered to write a formal apology to Mr. Walsh to be read aloud in this courtroom." Julian sits in stunned silence. Within 2 hours, breaking news hits. The SEC officially announces an investigation into Helios Corporation for misuse of shareholder funds. The stock market reacts immediately. Shares, which opened at $147, crashed to $88 by close, a staggering 40% drop, erasing billions in shareholder value in a single day. That evening, Alistair Thorne, the Billionaire CEO, holds a tense emergency press conference, visibly shaken. "I authorized the use of company legal resources for my son's case because I believed it was within my authority as CEO," he admits. "I was wrong. I have destroyed shareholder value, violated their trust, and abused my position. Effective immediately, I resign as CEO and will sell my shares to reimburse the company for all legal fees paid." Julian Thorne serves his full 6-month sentence. Upon release, he is transformed, entitlement replaced by humility. He meets Arthur Walsh to apologize. "Mr. Walsh, I assaulted you over a parking space. I yawned during your testimony. I used my father's company money to intimidate the court. I destroyed my father's career and billions in shareholder value. I am truly sorry." Arthur Walsh nods with quiet dignity. "Mr. Thorne, you were 29, thinking your father's money made you untouchable. Now you know better. Money can't buy respect, only actions can." This story is a reminder: no amount of lawyers, corporate intimidation, or billionaire influence places anyone above the law. Justice prevailed. The stock crashed. Accountability was restored. Remember Judge Caprio's words: "You cannot buy your way out of responsibility." That is the enduring legacy of Judge Frank Caprio, the integrity of Director Ross, and the grace of Arthur Walsh.